Yes, my name is George Ayanjompe, and I'll be taking you on this segment or on this session on business registration and regarding your intellectual property for SMEs. Yes, so due to the fact that we've covered some part of this session, I'll just be doing a brief recap, just a 1 minute recap. So for people that were not in the boot camp, that were not in already, that were not in the session before the meeting, last meeting ended impromptu. So now, can we all see the slide? Can we all see the slide?
Yes, I can.
Okay, okay, not a problem. All right. Now, I'll be going on. So the first part of the segment is business formation and business registration. Now, when you choose to start a business, you're at the stage of business formation. Now, you're at the stage where you're wondering what sort of model should you use to operate your business. Should you register as a company? Should you register as a limited liability company? Should you register as a public company? What should you register as? Should you just register a business name and just carry on your business? So now this is at this session, you'll be educated on what sort of model to use for your business that would be legally beneficial to you and would save your business from risk in the future. So from the slides here, you can see there are three under law, there are three broad categories or classifications under which businesses can be registered. Now, the first is company, the second is business name, the third is incorporated trustees. So now, I'm very sure at this point, you're asking yourself, which category is best for my business? Why should I choose business name over company? Or why should I choose the company over business name? So I'm going to be breaking down the why for you and what you should consider when you're picking a business model. Now, what should influence your choice of business model or your choice of category should be first the nature of your business. What sort of business do you do? How do you carry in your business? How do you structure your business? What are the risks facing your business, or what are the sort of risks you encounter in your business? Are the risks very high or are they very low? Are there risks of such a nature that it could just basically crash your business within 2 days? Are there risks that you can easily manage? Now, that you should consider this. And what are the benefits of you choosing a particular category? What are the benefits that you get by choosing that category? So you should consider all of these when you are choosing a business category. Yes, you should consider all of this when you're choosing a business category. Now, I'm going to go on to explain the three broad business models. I'll go on to explain it. Now, the very first is a company. Now, what a company is, a company under the law, a company is a business model, or it's a legal construct in which, or let me break it down much more. A company is that is a legal entity, a legal person under the law that is seen as a different human being from the owner of the company. It is seen as a separate person from the owner of the company. You understand? So when you form a company, you're not seen as one person anymore. You're seen as, well, two different people. You are seen under the law as your company. Well, your company is seen as a separate person from you, and then you are you. You understand? You are not your company. Your company is a separate human being in the eyes of the law. That is what a company is. And your company is given the status of a human being, the status of a person. When you register a company, it is given the status of a person, and therefore it can carry on business like any human being or any person. Yes, so that is what a company is. Now, a company that particular theory or that particular characteristic is called corporate personality. So your company has its own personality. It's seen as a separate human being under the law. It's seen as a separate person under the law from you. So, for instance, Truth Spout is different from the organizer of Truth Spout or from the organization of Truth Spout. If Truth Spout were to be a company, that means Truth Spout is a separate human being under the law. So that means in the eyes of the law, there is a human being called True Stout, and then there's a person called Faith. There's a person called or is there is so you understand? Even though you register the company, even if there are 100 registering the company is seen as a separate human being in the eyes of the law. So that is the idea of the company, and that is what the business model of the company is. So since the company is a separate person, the company can carry on business, the company can do business. That is what it is. Now there are several types of companies, and this compares. We have the limited liability company, which is a private company. Now the limited liability company can only have maximum of 50 owners or 50 persons coming together to form this company. You understand? You can have uh, only a maximum of 50 members. Once it's 50 members, then you are forced to register as a public company. You understand? So a limited liability company is also called a private company. Hmm? Yes. So the least number of members that a limited liability company can have is one person under the law, is one person. So you can have at least one person. So that way you can run a one person company if you are operating a limited liability company, and then the maximum of members that you can have is 50 persons. Please note, members are not the same as investors and employees. You can have 1,000 employees, you can have 1 million investors. You understand? But your members, your shareholders, are cannot exceed 50. I'll go on to explain the concept of shareholding. Yes, but while I break down these other companies. Now, a public liability company is a company that can have as many members as possible, as many members as possible. Now, before I go on to this, I will explain the concept of shares. Now, the ownership of a company is broken down into tiny pieces called shares. The ownership of a company is broken down into tiny pieces called shares. So now, when you own one share, you own one piece of ownership. So the more shares you own, the more your ownership in the company grows. So if you own majority of the shares in the company, then you become the owner of the company, or you become the major owner of the company, the person that calls the shots in the company. But if you own lesser share amount of shares in the company, you are an owner of the company, you're also an owner of the company, but you are a minor owner of the company. You don't have the same amount of say or rights over the company as someone that has more shares over you. Yes. So a limited liability company also has shares. A public liability company also has shares. You understand? But now the difference between these two is that for a limited liability company cannot give its shares to the entire public, cannot give its shares to the entire public. It can only give it to just 50 persons, and those 50 persons are seen as members. So if you're a shareholder, you're seen as a member of the company. Now, a public liability a company, a PLC, can give its shares to the entire public, give shares to everybody. You understand? So it can have as many members as possible as it wants to. You can have so many members as it wants to. You understand? So that is it. And because of you can have so many members, so many people are bringing in their resources. As a result of that, PLCs are much more regulated. They are heavily regulated. They are heavily regulated, but they are also a means of generating so much income. For instance, if you have a PLC, you can have your company on the stock exchange and raise money through the stock exchange. But as a limited liability company, you cannot raise money from the stock exchange. You cannot offer your shares to the entire public. Yes, and you cannot list your company on the stock exchange and raise money through the stock exchange or through the stock markets. That is the difference. You understand? Now, for a company limited by guarantee, a company limited by guarantee is a special company. because it has no shares at all. There are no shares in the company limited by guarantee. Yes, it does not have any shares. So what happens is that the members of this company now, they agree to what they agree to is that, so they have an agreement that when this company is, in the event that this company closes down, I am going to contribute this particular amount towards the expenses that the company has incurred over the years, or towards any expenses that is incurred, going to be incurred in closing down this company. But in as much as it is, that is all. So that is called a guarantee. So the company is bound together by the guarantee or by the agreement of the members. So it does not have any shares. Now, this sort of company is very similar to an NGO in that um, it carries on business, it does business, but the business, what happens is now it cannot share profit, and its business is for charitable purposes only, for charitable purposes, for social purposes, for cultural purposes, for scientific purposes. You understand? So it is for the purpose of propagating a particular idea or a particular belief or a particular vision or so. For instance, if you are registering a school, you are carrying on business. It is a charitable organization. You understand? So you are making profits not for the purpose of just not for it being a business. You understand? Not for it being a business, but you just want to educate people. You want to give out education. So if you're registering under a company limited by guarantee, you can carry on business, you can make profits, but you cannot share the profits, and you don't have shares. You understand? Now, a limited liability company can share profits, a PLC can share profits, but a company limited guarantee is almost like an NGO. It is not made for profits, so you cannot share profits. You understand? Now, for a company limited by guarantee and a PLC and a limited liability company, a limited company, the liability or the risk of these companies are reduced. These companies have reduced risk. That is the benefit that they have. Now I'll go on to unlimited companies. Now unlimited companies, their risk is unmitigated. As the name sounds, unlimited. It might sound very cool to you. Oh, I want to have an unlimited company. I want us to be unlimited. But being unlimited means unlimited risk in your business. So any risk that you are facing in your business affects everybody and everything. Now, these businesses can easily close down when they face any little risk that threatens the business. Once there's any risk that threatens the business, they easily close down, they can easily fold up. Unlike a limited liability company or like a public liability company, these companies have a legal system, a legal mechanism whereby they can reduce risk. But an unlimited company cannot reduce its risk. Instead, it is open to all sorts of risk imaginable, including financial risk. And this is very dangerous because it can easily bankrupt its members. Imagine going out to start a business and going bankrupt because you went to register an unlimited company. So that is the model of an unlimited company itself. Well, for people going into this model of business, for instance, uh, people don't want to register under this model of business, but there are some certain sort of companies that the law forces them to register as unlimited companies. For instance, insurance companies. Now, if you got insurance and you cannot claim your insurance, that would be very bad because you pay money for your insurance. So the law mandate insurance companies to register themselves as unlimited companies so that once you pay money for insurance, you can get your money back. That is the idea of insurance. So they are forced to register as unlimited. So the risk, because of that, insurance companies are open to so much risk that they can fold down, they can fold up when so much risk hits them. Now that is it when it comes to running an unlimited company. Now I'll go on to advantages of company registration. When you're registering a company now, it reduces your legal liability. One of the key reasons that people go for business for company registration is the fact that under the law, a company's liability is not the owner's liability, except for an unlimited company. Under the law, a company's liability is not the owner's liability. You understand? So if your company owes money, you do not owe money. Your company is the one that owes money. So in the event that your company cannot pay back the money, nobody can come to and meet. Nobody can come and meet you and say, pay up the money. No, nobody can come and do that. You understand? The only time when they can do that is when you actually entered risk in order to benefit from this advantage of reduced legal liability. So, therefore, registering a company now helps you to reduce financial liability, to reduce financial risk and legal risk. So, for instance, if you're carrying on business through a company and you have some issues with somebody, well, guess what? They will not be able to sue you. They will have to sue your company because your company is the one carrying on the business with them. Now, for instance, you can even use it to reduce your tax liability. When your company carries on business and makes profits, your company pays all the tax and you don't have to pay tax because you're not carrying on the business. Your company is the one carrying on the business. You understand? So by running the business, it reduces your legal risks that you face. So any legal risk that your company is facing affects only the company, does not affect you as the owner of the company or as the shareholder of the company. Now, you can raise you can raise capital for the business through shares. As I mentioned, companies are split into units of ownership, and these units of ownership can be sold as valuable property. It can be sold. So by registering a company, particularly a limited liability company or a PLC, that is a public liability company, now you can raise money through your shares. I'm very sure that we must have seen maybe where Dangote is offering shares to the public and saying, come and buy shares in my company. Yes. So now, when you buy shares in Dangote's company, that means you are getting a unit of ownership in Dangote's company. That means you become a little owner of a little piece of Dangote's company. But that way, Dangote can raise millions or even billions of naira from the entire public by selling shares. Ordinarily, a business cannot do this. A business name cannot do this. An NGO cannot raise money through this means. But by this means, companies can raise money by selling their shares. Yes. Now, a company has corporate personality. Like I said, a company is a separate human being under the law. So if you are signing a contract, for instance, you are not signing the contract in your name. You are signing the contract as the company because the company is a separate human being. So, for instance, if TruthSpout were to be a company, if TruthSpout were to enter into a contract with a person, now TruthSpout will sign the contract with the person, not the people behind TruthSpout. You understand? Because TruthSpout is a human being under the law. Now, if TruthSpout were to buy the owners of TruthSpout were want to buy a property, for instance, if they want to buy property, for instance, they can, if TruthSpout were to be a company, they can buy the property in the name of TruthSpout. You understand? They can buy property and hold property in the name of the company. And in the event where somebody wants, maybe something happens in the event of kind of business and somebody wants to sue them, they cannot sue the owners of the business. They have to sue the company itself. You understand? So they cannot sue the owners directly. They must sue the company, not the owners of the business. So you can see the benefits, the way a company shields the owners from risk and liability. And also, yes, you can also sue in the name of the company. For instance, let's say you don't want to sue in your own name. You don't sue directly in your name. You can choose to sue in the name of the company if you have a company. You understand? Yes. So now registering a company gives you higher leverage to secure bank loans and grants. If you are trying to get loans, banks would much more give you loans if you are a company because a company can be much more profitable. A company is much more profitable. The company does not die out. So the bank can always make the company profitable. Yes. So that is the reason why they can give you as much loans as possible. And that is why you can get so much grants as a company. Now, a company never dies. Even if the owners of the company are to die today, the company does not die. The company can pass on to their generations to come. On and on. For instance, Unilever is a company that has been existing for over 100 years. I'm very sure that whoever started Unilever has died and gone, and the company is still existing till today. Ford Motors is over 100 years old, but it is still existing till today. I think we have some football fans in the house. Manchester United is over 100 years old, but till today it is still existing. I know Chelsea Football Club is over 100 years old. It is a company, but it is still existing till today. So even if any of the owners of the company should die, even if any member of the company should die, the company does not die because the company is seen as an immortal person in the eyes of the law. The owners of the company can change. You understand? The owners of the company can change, but the company does not die. The company keeps on going on. The company will only die where you choose on your own volition as the owner of the company to close down the company. Yes. Then we have tax exemption benefits. If you are registering a company right now, we have a particular law in Nigeria called the Finance Act, and it gives companies a very high leverage to have their tax reduced. Now, if you're registering a company, if you are registering a limited liability company, if you're not making up to 25 million naira a year, you are paying zero tax. You understand? So when you begin to make 25 million naira annually, then you begin to pay tax. However, for a business name, for instance, or an individual, once you begin to make above the minimum wage, which is 30,000 naira, once you begin to make 31,000 naira and above every month, you must begin to pay tax of 7% and above. So the way tax works in Nigeria is the more you earn, the more you pay. So the richer you are, the more tax you pay. Unlike a company now, you can use a company to reduce your tax liability because a company has tax exemption benefits. Sometimes a company can even be exempted from totally paying tax at all. Their special status is called pioneer status, whereby a company for up to 5 years, they are free from paying tax. Now we have increased ability to obtain government incentives. Now the government gives several incentives to companies and businesses itself, but these incentives are mostly given to companies. For instance, tax exemption, there are at times national assistance. For instance, if you are running an international business, for instance, you are giving some line of businesses, the government will give you assistance if you are going to run maybe a foreign business. For instance, if you are going to export your goods to another country. Now there are incentives whereby the government will give you incentives. They will even support you with money, loans, and grants to carry on your business. For instance, if you are into technology in Nigeria, there are several grants that the government will give you in order to support your business, just like you being a tech company in this country. You understand? If you're going into agri, there are several grants and loans that by just being an agri company, you will be given. But this might not be extended to agri NGOs or to agri business names. You understand? But for companies have this special status whereby they can get these advantages. Now, companies also have their disadvantages. Now, there's the risk of being voted out of the company. Now, you can start a company, you can register a company, and you can end up being voted out of the company. Yes. Now, how does this work? You know, I said that a company's ownership is split into tiny pieces called shares. You understand? And whoever owns majority of the shares owns the company. So now, some persons in the bid to sell more shares and raise more money, they suddenly become the minority shareholder. And when you become the minority shareholder, that means somebody else owns the company because under company law, whoever owns the majority of the company owns the company. So whoever owns, and majority is 51%. So whoever owns 51% owns the company. So this is an advice I would give to anybody who wants to register a company here. If you want to ever start up a company, ensure that even if you are selling your shares, ensure that you never sell more than 51% of your shares. If not, you would end up being a minority and you can be voted out of your company. Yes. So it happens a whole lot. I think we all know the story of Steve Jobs, who founded Apple and he was voted out of Apple. It was only later towards the last years of his life that Apple invited him back. But yes, Steve Jobs was pushed out of Apple and he founded Apple with his own money. Imagine, it can be very painful for a business owner. It can be very, very painful. But this can happen. It can happen. You can be voted out of your own company. Yes. So because a company is seen as being democratic, they are allowed to vote. And the way it works in democracy is majority carries the votes. So you must ensure that even if you are selling shares to investors, ensure that you never get into the minority, because that way you can be voted out of the company. And there's also the risk of being the minority in your own company. Now, the risk of being a minority, maybe even if you are not voted out, you understand, your rights in the company or your say in the company can be reduced. Your say can be reduced because the majority carries the vote. So whoever owns majority of the shares determines what happens in the company. So in the eyes of the law, whoever owns 51% of the shares is the owner of the company because he can command so much decisions that affect the company. That is the reason why whoever owns majority of the share is deemed to be the owner of the company. So this is an advice again, once more, to people who want to start up companies here. Ensure that you never sell more than 51% of your shares. If not, you could end up being a minority in the company, and then are not people who are not uh, your partners or people who do not share the same vision with you can end up steering your company in the wrong direction. So please and please, I think we all have pen and jotter here. So write down these do's and don'ts. When you're starting up the company, never sell more than 51% of your shares, regardless of how lucrative it might be. Never sell more than 51% of your shares. If not, you could end up being a minority. And like Steve Jobs of Apple, you could end up being voted out or being pushed out of your company. Now, another disadvantage of investing in a company is the fact that there are so much administrative bottlenecks and oversight in the company. The reason behind this is because, you know, a company affords people and investors the opportunity to bring in their money into a company, and at the end of the day, they get profits. Because investment must be regulated. If investment is not regulated, people that are investing their money in the company would go into risk. They would go into a whole lot of risk. So because of that, the risk must be mitigated. That is the reason why the law puts in so much bottlenecks here and there for companies. For instance, now you can lie to your partners that you are not making so much profit, but at the end of every year, you are required to, at the end of the year, to disclose all your profits to the government. You must file annual returns. You must you must pay tax. You must ensure that you are in compliance with all regulatory requirements of companies set down by the government. If not, the company can be deregistered or the company can be closed down by the government. You understand? Now, the body that administers company or that regulates company is the CAC. That is the very first company that regulates company. Now, if you are registering a public company, that's the PLC, then we now have the Securities and Exchange Commission regulating them. Yes. And the reason why we have all this regulation is the fact that the government is trying to protect the investors in the company. Imagine if today Dangote were to fold up. Imagine how many people will go broke today. Imagine how people will lose their investment or their life savings if Dangote folded up today and they could not get their money back. So that is the reason why government puts in so much regulations here and there in order to tighten the company and ensure that they are much more accountable and you don't just run away with somebody's money. But all of these regulatory and administrative bottlenecks can be simplified for you by creating a simple
Hello? Um, are we all hearing the speaker?
No, I can't hear him.
Ouch.
if you reach
Alright, I'll get to him.
uh, had a little bit of issues, but I'm back online now. Can we all hear me?
Okay, yes,
Hello,
yes, we
can we all?
can hear you. Yes.
Yes, we can
Okay,
now.
I'm so sorry for that. My network had some issues. Yes, so sorry for that. Yes, now going on with the yes with the session. Sorry for that break. Please, can my share settings be unlocked so that I can share the slide once more, please? Can my share settings be unlocked so that I can share the slide? Now I'll be going on to uh, yes, having explained companies. So I've explained the type of company that we have, and I explained the advantages and disadvantages, and I've explained how you can navigate these disadvantages. You understand? I've told you how you can navigate these disadvantages to ensure that you don't fall into the minority or you don't fall victim of government regulations. Yes. So now I'm moving on to the next type of companies, sorry, of model of business registration. Yes. Now, next is business name. Now, business name, what a business name does is that a business name gives you priority over your business name or over your business name. That is what it is exactly. A business name does not make you a company owner. Please note this. So many people come to me that, oh, Barrister George, I registered the business name, so I'm the owner of the company. No, you are not the owner of the company if you register a business name. What a business name does for you is just to protect the name of your business. That is it. It does not give you any protection from legal risk or what have you whatsoever. It only protects your business name and it gives you the freedom to run your business however you please. It allows you to be flexible with your business and do whatever you want to do. However, note that if you want to register a company, you can register a one-man company and you can enjoy the same flexibility as a business name, but instead you have more benefits. But as a business name, you only have the name protected. That is just it. That is it, and nothing more than that. You only have this name protected. So if you register a business name, for instance, okay, I'm seeing some questions coming in. I'll answer the questions. I'll answer your questions. So if you register a business name, all what you have is a protection saying nobody else can register this business name. For instance, if I were to register Truth Spout, nobody else can register Truth Spout as a name. If they register Truth Spout, that means they are infringing, or that means they are what's it called? They are infringing on my rights to have Truth Spout as a name exclusive to me. So once I register Truth Spout as a business name, that means I'm the only one that can have that business name in Nigeria. Nobody else can have that business name. That is just the sole advantage of having business name registration. And again, since mostly have this for partnerships and for sole proprietorships. So you are free to run your business however you want. You can be flexible, and then you don't really have so much admin regulation You understand? That is just because they are probably only a few persons or you are the only one. So nobody cares how you run your team because you are facing your risk by yourself. Unlike a company whereby you are running with other people's money, or you probably will have investors along the line. You understand? So that is just it. So a business name does not give you the same status as a company. It only allows you to protect that name. It does not give you any special rights per se. No, no special rights. Just only protect the business name. Now, the disadvantages of a business name, I'll move on to that. You are exposed to unlimited legal liability and unlimited financial liability. You understand? So now, if any legal liability were to come or any financial liability were to come, it can crumble the business because you don't have a legal protection. There's no legal protection. It hits you hard and fast directly. So if you have to go and take a loan from a bank and you cannot pay back, the bank would follow you to your house, to your village, and force you to pay back. You understand? So if you were to have some issues with somebody and somebody sues you, they will sue you personally and not the business name. No, they will sue you, sue everything you have, and squeeze you out totally. So the risk is enormous. The risk is immense. So if you lose everything, your business does not lose everything, you lose everything down to the last penny. It is that dangerous. That is the downside to having a business name. And again, as I said, when it comes to taxation, the more you earn, the more you pay. So you are seen as yourself in the eyes of the law. You are not seen as a business name. The business name does not give you any special benefit of that, like unlike a company. So a company owner can use the company tax liability. But as a business name owner, if you make 1 billion, you must pay tax equal to 1 billion. So your tax liability is immense. It is so wide. So you face serious taxation. So once you begin to earn 31,000 naira per month, you must start paying 7% tax. When you begin to earn above 300,000, the tax increases again to 10%. So the more tax you earn, the more tax you pay. So the more profit you earn, the more tax you pay. So if you earn 1 million, you are paying so much tax. Before you know it, by the time you start earning 1 billion, you are paying up to 40% tax. You understand? That is it, because tax in Nigeria increases the more you are richer. And that way, it can slow down the growth of your business. Now, a business name cannot survive the owner. Once the person dies, unfortunately, that's the end. The business name has died. That is just the end of the business name. It has died automatically. That is it. Unlike a company that Steve Jobs is dead today, but Apple is still going on, and Apple will still go on and on and on, even after everybody that has business dies. If Bill Gates dies today, Microsoft will still go on and on. But if Microsoft were to be a business name, once Bill Gates dies today, that is the end of Microsoft. You understand? So that is that about business names. So that's the disadvantage about this. But if you want to combat this, it is advisable that you register a company because it has much more benefits compared to a business name when it comes to tax and all of that. So the disadvantages of a business name is solved by a company, by registering a company. So I'll be going on to the next model, which is ITs, that is incorporated trustees. IT for short. Yes. Now, this category covers non-profit organizations or associations formed for charitable purposes, social purposes, and just for non-profit making purposes. You don't want to make any profit at all. You're just coming up with an organization. You understand? For you don't want to make any profit. It's not for profit. You just want to just impact people. Now you register under incorporated trustees. So people wonder, so what kind of association, what kind of body, what kind of organization can I register under incorporated trustees? So I'll break it down for you. Now you can register NGOs, you can register associations. For instance, your community association, your village association, your student association can be registered under incorporated trustees. You understand? Your political parties, because you're not making profit, you just want to make a social change in the community, can register it under incorporated trustees. Your youth group, for instance, your youth group, you just want to just empower youth here and there, you don't make profit, you can register it under incorporated trustees. Your religious organizations, whether be it Christian, be it Muslim, or any religious organization at all, you can register it under incorporated trustees because you're not registering to make profits. You're not setting up to make profits. You're just setting it up just to impact people. You understand? And just to propagate the particular vision that you have. Now, civil society organizations, for instance, maybe bodies or associations set up against rape, against gender violence, against gender inequality, and what have you, can be registered under this particular category. NPOs, that is non-profit organizations. For instance, if you are just setting up a literacy club or a book club where you don't make profits, you also want to just distribute books to children, you can register under incorporated trustees, and you have social groups. For instance, maybe you are a doctor and you also have doctors guild or doctors league, for instance, where doctors can come together, share knowledge, and grow. You can register it under incorporated trustees. Or you have a cultural group where you have, say, Yoruba Student Association, or you have Igbo Student Association, or you have Hausa Student Association, or you have Ethics Student Association. It is a cultural organization set up in order to help your culture grow, in order to safeguard your culture and ensure that it does not die out. This can be registered under incorporated trustees. You understand? Now, so that is it. And if you are also registering a company that you don't intend to make any profit at all, it is best that you register under this category, and I'll explain why. If you're registering under incorporated trustees, that is IT for short, you have full tax exemption. Now, people ask, why are you fully tax exempt? The reason is because you are not carrying on any business. So if you're not doing business, why should they be taxing you? That means you're running at loss. So it is best for you to register your non-profit under this particular category so that you don't run into tax risk. So many people are donating money to you and you have to start paying tax out of that donation. You know, you are already incurring expenses without spending money. Without spending money, you're already being told to pay tax. So under the law gives you full tax exemption as far as you don't do any business. That is just the proviso. So you must not do any business. Your money can only be sourced through grants, through donations, and through funding from people that contribute to your NGO, to your non-profit organization. As far as your money comes from these sources and through fundraising, through grants, through donations and contributions, you are free from paying tax. But the day that you choose to start doing business, even no matter how small it is, from that day, you begin to pay tax on all profit that you make. Another advantage again is that the association can own property in its own name. It can be sued in its own name. You understand? And it can sue in the name of the association. You know, for instance, as an NGO, you want to have a shelter for orphans or so. You can buy property in the name of the NGO. You can sign contracts in the name of the NGO because the NGO is seen as a person in the eyes of the law. The non-profit is seen as a person in the eyes of the law. The organization, the church, the mosque is seen as a person in the eyes of the law. So therefore, it can own its own property. And by registering an NGO or a non-profit, you have more access to loans, to grants, and to donations because people will donate more to you. Now, the disadvantage is that you have so much regulatory bottlenecks. Now, the reason is because people are donating so much money to you. So therefore, you must be accountable. Imagine somebody, a fraudulent person setting up a company, and incorporated trustees. Now, the reason why it's called incorporated trustees is because the owners, the people that are in charge are called trustees of the association. So therefore, that's the reason why it's called incorporated trustees. So now, imagine if a fraudulent person were to set up an NGO and collect donations. That way, he can defraud so many people. He will collect so much money, and then he'll run away with their money. But if you're registering an NGO, it is impossible because you will be tracked down. You will be tracked down because every year, and you must disclose to the CAC and to all regulatory bodies. You must disclose to them how much you are collecting every year, how much was given to you every year. So there's no way you can run away with all that money. You understand? So they will make it so tight for one person to just single-handedly take away all the money without facing legal action. That is it. That is one of the disadvantages. But if you have a lawyer or a legal advisor, yes, I advise so many NGOs so on how they can mitigate all of these regulatory bottlenecks. I advise them on it because it is there for a reason. But if you have a very good lawyer, a very good legal team, this will not be a problem at all for you. You understand? Just same thing as a company. The company has a very good company lawyer. You can, in fact, you'll not even feel the impact of all these regulatory bottlenecks. Another disadvantage again of an incorporated trustee is the tendency or the risk of the voters, of the founders being voted out. You understand? It cannot be kicked out of the association or the NGO, but they can be voted out of power. You understand? This is because now, if you are running the NGO in such a way that your members do not like, your members can petition you and send a petition to the CAC. And if the CAC sees that you are running the NGO organization in such a way that it is maybe not beneficial or it is not in line with the aims and objectives, you can be kicked out. You understand? Or if you're not kicked out, you can be removed as a trustee and they will have other trustees put in there. So imagine you using your money to register an NGO and then you are being removed as a trustee. It is not so nice at all. So there's that tendency. But this tendency can be mitigated by you having a proper and a sound legal advisor that will advise you on how to ensure that your internal affairs as an NGO or as an association is properly structured as such that you don't get to this level where you are voted out by your members or by your co-founders. You understand? So that is just that. I'm moving on to the next stage. After registration, what next? After registration, what next? So I'll be rounding up very soon. So now, most people, they just register their companies or they go and meet quacks. Just like I have quack doctors, you also have quack lawyers. It's very unfortunate. You meet people that they go and meet quacks to register companies for them, to register business names for them, or to register NGOs for them. And they just give you a certificate and tell you that that is all, and they walk away. But after registration, what comes next? You must continue to do several things under the law. Under the law, there are several requirements for you to continue to meet. If you do not meet these requirements, your certificate can be terminated. Yes, that is very clear. Your business can be deregistered. I have seen this happen to so many businesses where they'll come out and tell that, Barrister George, see my certificate here. This is it with me. But they are saying that my company is no longer existing. I'll tell them yes, because you have not met the requirements for your company to continue existing, because you have not continued to fulfill the requirements set by the law for your company. So most people don't know this what's next. They just register their company and they just go and they think that is the end. That is not the end. I'll break it down for you. I'll break it down now to everyone. Now, when you register a company or a business name or an NGO, or that is incorporated trustees or an association or a non-profit, at the end of every year, you must file an annual report to CAC. You must file an annual report to CAC. Now, what your annual report states, your annual report will just state to the CAC who are the current for a company, who are the current directors of the company, who are the current shareholders of the company, and how much did you make in that year? How much profit did you make? How much loss did you make? You understand? You must give that report to CAC. Now, the reason that you must give this report is because if somebody wants to invest in your company, the person can go to CAC and ask CAC, is this company a trustworthy company? And CAC will give the person all your records. The person will look at it. If he's satisfied, he will invest in the company. But imagine where a company is a very shady company. You don't know the record of the company, and they tell you that come and drop $1 billion. In the next 30 days, we'll give you 70% return on the investment. And you don't know, you ask them, what are your records? They tell you, don't worry about it. And imagine you give them $1 billion, and then at the end of the day, they run with your $1 billion. That would be a catastrophe. So that is the reason why, under the law, you must, as a company, file annual returns. Same thing applies for business name, because you are carrying on business, and if you're carrying on business, that means you would do business with so many people. You understand? You will do business with so many people. So this is because the law wants to ensure that it is very hard for people to defraud other people. You understand? So once you register a business name, you must also file your annual reports every year, stating how much profit you made and how much loss you made, and who is, if you have a new proprietor with you, if you have a new business owner that joined the business, you must state the person, and you must state the person's full name, address, and everything about the business. If your business should change its location or its head office, you must disclose. You understand? All of these are safeguards so that the public will not be defrauded by fraudsters who set up companies. Now, also for NGOs too, and for non-profit organizations, you must also file annual reports every year to CAC, stating how much donations you got, how much you spent, how much loss you are in right now. Because all of this, without all of these regulations, people will just take other people's money and run away. So if you don't file all of these returns, if you don't file all of these reports you are expected to file, you can be deregistered by CAC. You understand? Because if you're not filing the reports, they assume that the owners of the company or the owners of the business are dead. They assume that the person is dead. That is it. So after like maybe 5 years or 10 years, what happens is they just deregister the company. You understand? They just totally deregister it. That means even if you have a certificate at home, that certificate it has become an empty certificate. It is useless because it has been deregistered. And if your business should get deregistered, guess what? You have to pay fresh legal fees again to get your money, to get your company registered again. And you have to pay penalties if your company is not registered. You understand? And under the law, all of these annual reports must be filed by a particular time. So if you don't meet up with that particular time, you will pay a penalty for late filing. You understand? So you must file all these reports. And the way it is, because it is quite complex, it's advisable that you reach out to lawyers who are knowledgeable in this field of corporate compliance. I've helped so many companies with their corporate compliance, and they'll say, "Oh, we did not know this before." I said, "This is why I need to get a lawyer." But some people think, "Oh, I don't have to get a lawyer." Then you now begin to wonder, how come I got deregistered? So you have to get a lawyer to guide you through all of these particular issues so that you don't get deregistered and so that you don't get penalized as a company. Hope you understand this particular bit. And every time you make changes to your company or to your business or to your NGO or to your non-profits, you must notify CAC and all your regulators. You must notify them that I have changed address, we have changed our trustees, I have changed my director, I am no longer the owner, we have 3 more owners. You must inform them so that the public will not be swindled if there are any fraudulent persons behind any of these companies or NGOs. That is the reason behind this. So after registration, you must continue to file your annual reports every year, disclosing the state of your business or your company or your non-profits. You must also pay tax where applicable. If you're meant to pay tax, please pay the tax. If not, you can be heavily penalized and your business can be deregistered also if you don't pay tax. Yes. Now, I'll be moving very fast on the next segment, which is intellectual property. Intellectual property, how you can safeguard your intellectual property. I'll breeze through this because we really do not have time. I'll breeze through this. I'll just breeze through it because we do not have time. Now, so you can see it here, intellectual property, IP for short. Yes, so IP for short. Now, what is IP? Now, IP, as the name connotes, intellectual is property, is anything that is the brainchild of your imagination or of your brain work, as some people will say. You understand? Anything that is the brainchild of your brain work, that is IP. You get? So when you create a logo, that is IP. So when you come up with a new invention, you sing a new song that nobody has sang before, that is your imaginative work at play, your creativity at play. When you write a story, You understand? That nobody has written before. When you make a painting or you come up with a particular uh, design that nobody has come up with before, that is IP. So nobody, so you own that, you own it. It is your right to claim it because you put effort into thinking about it, into imagining it, and into bringing it to life. So therefore, you are given rights over it. That is what is called an IP right or intellectual property right. You understand this? So it is basically your mental ability or your mental creativity being brought to life. So once you bring that to life, you are the owner of this property. However, it is not so straightforward like this. It's not so straightforward. You understand? You must meet several legal requirements for you to have that your brain work or your brainchild protected under the law so that nobody else will just come and take it and use it for their profit and make money of it. So now there are several types of IP under the law. What are the types of IP? I'll be very fast on this. Now, first we have um, copyrights. Second is patents, and the third is industrial design. First, copyright. Second, patents, and third, industrial designs. We also have these are the three major types of IP that we have. We also have trade secrets. We have trademarks. We have trade secret trademarks. Yes, we have geographical indication. We have geographical indication. So these are other, and we have neighboring rights. So these are other types of IP that we have, but they are not major types. The three major types that we have are copyrights, we have patents, and then we have industrial design. Now, what is a copyright? Now, copyright is a broad collection of rights that is given over literally artistic works or digital works or musical works, for instance. You understand? Now, copyright covers your write up. So once you come up with a write up, you write an essay, an article, or a story, or a novel, or a journal. You have copyright over it. That is a literary work. You understand? If you have an artistic work, for instance, you're an artist, you sing, you dance, or yes, sorry, you sing. Now, let's say you sing, for instance. Now you are an artist, you draw, or you make paintings, or you do your art digitally. You are a graphic designer. If you're a graphic designer, you are an artist, or you are a musician, you sing. Now that is an artistic work. So you have rights over these particular things that you do. Whatever you create, any new song you create, any new art you create, you have right over it. Same thing as musical work. So if you sing a new musical song, or you compose it, or you write the lyrics of the song, of you are the owner of this rights. You understand? And it cannot be taken away from you, but it must be protected properly under the law for you to be able to take advantage of it. You understand? And copyright also spans as far as programming. For instance, Zoom is a program, but the programming code for Zoom is copyrighted. So you cannot just take the copyright, you cannot just take the code for Zoom and begin to make another Zoom. You can be sued for that. Now, patents. What are patents? That is second category. Patents are rights over new inventions. For instance, if I were to invent a new phone or a new type of car, for instance, I have rights over it as a patent. You get, I have rights over it as a patent, and I can protect it so that I can mass produce this car, sell it, and make money of my invention. Now, industrial design, which is the last one, industrial design. Industrial design is just the design or the schematics or the blueprint for an invention or a technological product or anything at all. For instance, as a tailor or fashion designer, if you sketch a clothes, that's an industrial design. You understand? As a fashion designer, if you sketch a particular pattern for a clothes, that's an industrial design. You can actually get it protected. As an engineer, as an architect, if you sketch a building plan that nobody has seen before, that's an industrial design and it can be protected under the law. That's because it is your mental effort that you use to bring it to life. Now, what can or cannot be protected under IP? Now, the word that comes to play is fixation. Fixation. What fixation means under the law is that you must put your mental work, you must put your mental work in a medium under which the law can protect it. You must put your work in a medium under which the law can protect it. You understand? Now, I will tell you one thing that the law cannot protect, that IP cannot protect. IP cannot protect your ideas. Yes, it sounds very unfair. As far as your ideas are still in your head, IP cannot protect it because nobody knows that idea except you. So the law cannot protect that idea. You understand? So someone will say, oh, and I had this idea, and somebody else went to go and register the idea. Sorry, it is still an idea in your head. You have not put it to life. You have not put it on paper. So that is why most people tell you that if you have an idea, write it down, write it down. No, those people are not joking because there's so much power in writing when it comes to the law. For instance, these slides like this that you are seeing now, this slide is my IP rights because I have written it down. You can see it, you can read it. It's something that we can all see. So I have rights over it. It's my IP rights. So nobody can just come and infringe on it unless I give you permission to infringe on it or to use it. You understand? So your what's it called? Your ideas cannot be protected. Your ideas have to be in a medium where people can see it. It have to be tangible. People at least should be able to see it or should be able to hear it. For instance, we cannot touch songs, but we can hear songs. You understand? You cannot touch a movie, but you can see a movie. You can see it acted. You understand? So that way it can be protected. You cannot touch a video, but you can see a video. You understand? So that way it is protected. So your ideas cannot be protected. So you have to have it in a medium, at least, even if it's electronic, even if it is video, even if it is audio, even if it is written, or it is a sculpture. You understand? It must be in a format that people can see for the law to be able to protect it. But if it is in any format that you cannot see it, you cannot hear it, you cannot taste it, I mean, we cannot even perceive it at all, then I'm very sorry that it cannot protect that kind of rights. You understand? That is the thing. Now, if you sing a new song, that can be protected. What can be protected under that song? Your beats, your vocals, your lyrics can be protected under copyrights. Now, if you had to write a book, or you just even wrote a lecture note or a story or a poem, it is protected under copyright because it is a literary work. If you had to make a sculpture, or you made a painting, or you're a graphic designer, you made a poster, that work is protected under copyright. You understand? Or you okay, I understand I should round it up right now. I understand I should round it up. Okay, yes, just I think 2 minutes or so. You understand? Let me just read out this rights. So you can protect it under copyright. You get the point. If you're a programmer and you make a new program, you can protect it under copyright. You get the point. Now, the advantage of copyright is that once you finish making your work, or you finish writing your song, or you finish singing your song, under the law, you have right over it. You don't have to register it. But as an inventor, you are making a new invention, you are making a new innovation. Unless you register it, you don't have any right over it at all. Until you register it. Yes, until you register it, you don't have any right over it. You understand? As an inventor, you must register your patent, you must register your new invention. If you don't register it, you don't have any right over it. As a fashion designer, you design a new clothing. If you don't register it, you have no right over it, over that design. You understand? So as an architect, you come up with a new building plan, or you come as an engineer, you come up with a new design for a phone, and you draw it on paper, you draw a blueprint. As long as that blueprint is not registered, you cannot protect that right. So for patent and industrial designs, you must register it. Please ensure you must register it. If it's not registered, you cannot safeguard that right. Unlike copyrights, that once you just make it, that is it, you own it. But for patents and industrial designs, I'm very sure you must register it. So you have to reach out to a lawyer who will advise you on how to register it and how to get it properly protected. You understand? Because for a business, your business you can just have your business can be worth billions because of your IP rights. Apple and Samsung are worth billions because they have so many IP rights under them. They have phones, they have phones, they have phone designs, they have laptop designs under them, they have AC designs under them, so many things. They have computer designs under them. So they are very valuable because of their IP rights. If we take away all those rights from Apple today, Apple becomes a non-entity. So this tells you that IP rights can make you a billionaire, but you must safeguard it properly. You must safeguard it properly. Now, how can you profit off your IP rights? You can profit off your IP by selling it. If you don't want to sell it, you can license it. So you can sell your licenses. For instance, now the way Zoom makes money off us is that Zoom gives us license to download Zoom off Google Play. You understand? So if Zoom were to withdraw its license from us today, that means we cannot use Zoom. So for every time you download Zoom, Zoom makes money because they're giving you a license to use it. So if you don't want to sell off your IP rights, you can license it and keep on making money off your IP rights. So that is how IP rights work. That is how you can make billions off your IP rights. You can license your IP rights and make money off it. So now the task for this session is very simple. I will talk about business models and we'll talk about IP rights. So now I want you to identify. You can have it and you can send it to the organizers, and this will be assessed later on. I want you to identify, look at your business. What is the best model for your business? Having gone through this session, having been coached as to what business models are and what the advantages and disadvantages are, what is the best model for your business? And secondly, what type of IP right does your business have? What type of IP right does your business have? Analyze your business and ask yourself, is it a copyright? Is it an industrial design? Or is it a patent? What kind of IP right does your business have? Yes. So at this point, okay, I'll be taking questions at this point. Yes. I'll be taking questions at this point. Yes. So I've come to the end of my segment. I'll be taking questions at this point, or any other contributions that can be made at this point. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, George, for
You're
the
welcome.
amazing presentation.
You're welcome.
I know there are a couple of questions. Someone has already dropped her question. And
Okay.
Rosemary Adejo has dropped a
All
question
right.
in the chat section. And hopefully, I know a couple of persons might have some questions to clarify. And if you have
Okay.
a question, everyone, you can kindly put your questions on the chat box. Or if you
Okay.
feel you can ask your questions, please kindly unmute. And
Okay. All right. So I will take Rosemary's questions first. I will take Rosemary's questions first because the first question just came in first. It came in first. So but I think we've answered this. All right. Now, non-governmental organizations as NGOs are placed under incorporated trustees, that is IT. You understand? Are placed under IT. So that is the best place to register them. So if you're registering an NGO, that is a non-governmental organization, it's best that you register under IT so that you can get all the benefits such as full tax exemption. You understand? But you cannot carry on business. However, if you want to carry on business, you can register a company limited by guarantee. And as I explained, this company can carry on business, but it cannot share profits. You understand? Because it is a non-profit organization. An NGO is not set up for profits. So if you want to register a company instead, you can register a company limited by guarantee. That way, you can carry on business, but you cannot share profits. That is just it. So that money must be used for the tithing purpose that the company is set up for. So, for instance, if it's for education, you can carry on business, but you must give other money to education purposes and not share profits. But ordinarily for an NGO, the very best category for you to register is an incorporated trustee. That is IT for short. Okay, so the next question I'm saying here is what are the limitations of registering just a business name? Can it be changed to a company? And can a business name be deregistered? Okay, now the limitations of registering a business name. Yes, the limitations of registering a business name are that now you don't have corporate personality. Your company is seen as your business name is seen as you. The only thing that is protected uh, is just your business name. That is all. You don't have any special protection. You don't have any special privileges. For instance, if you are to get a bank loan, the bank loan is gotten in your name. If you are to sign a contract, the contract will be signed in your name, not the name of your business name. Because the business name is not a person under the law. You understand? It's not a person under the law, so it is not seen as any special, it's not given any special status. You understand? And when it comes to taxation, you are fully open to tax. So the more profit you make, once you begin to make 31,000 naira above, you begin to pay 7% tax. Now, when you make more, as you begin to make more money, you make millions, the tax begins to go higher as 10%. In fact, if you make up to billions, your tax rate goes like your tax rate can be extremely burdensome. You get, but for as for a company, they don't really have that problem because their means and incentives through which the company's tax can be limited. So that way the taxes don't spill over to the owners of the companies. Yes. Now, can a business name be changed to a company? Yes, it can be it can be re-registered as a company. That would mean that you have to reach out. Yes, you have to register it as a company. You understand? So when once you register your business as a company, your business is no longer seen as a business name. It is now seen as a company, and you begin to enjoy all the benefits of being a company. Can a business name be deregistered? Yes. Yes, your business name can be deregistered. If you don't file your annual returns, your annual reports, if you don't file all the reports you ought to file when you ought to file them, your business name can be deregistered. Yes, I've seen several startups that had their business name deregistered, and when they were going for very big contracts, they found out very late, and it cost them a whole lot of money. So yes, if you don't file the annual reports on time, your business can be penalized heavily, and then your business name can be deregistered. Okay. The next question here comes from Ifeanyi Chukwu. It says, how much does it cost to register businesses on under different names? Okay, businesses under different names. Okay, I'll come to this question later. All right. Okay, subsidiary. The second question we have: can a subsidiary not be included? Okay, not included when registry be put later. Can a subsidiary not included be when registry be put later? Okay, now to break this down, a subsidiary is a company that is owned by another company. You understand? Or a business that is owned by another company. You get the point. Now, please note this. For people that they go and register a business name and they say they have subsidiaries under them. A business name cannot own subsidiaries. No. Only companies can own subsidiaries. You understand? Now, having the company is so powerful that a company can own an NGO and a company can own a business name. You understand? A company can register an NGO. For instance, MTN has a foundation. You understand? Other very big companies have foundations that they are running. Yes, I know MTN Foundation is very popular. They have their foundation that they are running. So a company can register an NGO, they can register incorporated trustees, they can register business name, but a business name cannot register a company. You understand? A business name cannot own another company, and an NGO cannot own another NGO, unlike a company. So a company can own several bodies. Now, those bodies that the company own are called subsidiaries. You understand? They are called subsidiaries. Now, subsidiaries come if they are not included at the point of registration. You understand? They can be included later, but they are not included in the company's name. No. Now, the way it works is that, for instance, now Diamond and Access Bank were two banks that were existing, but what happened was now Diamond Access Bank acquired the Access Bank acquired Diamond Bank. You understand? So now the way it works is, if you want to get a subsidiary, you can buy a subsidiary, you can buy another company, or you can buy a business, or you can register another company, and then you can make your company the owner of that company. Yes, a company can register another company. So once a company registers another company, that other company becomes a subsidiary. You understand? Or if the company buys another company, the second company that is bought becomes a subsidiary. You understand? So a subsidiary is a company owned by another company. But I hope I've answered your question as regard that. Yes. And for the person I want to react that is asking if a business name can be changed to a company. If your business name is being changed to a company, you have to pay full fees as if you are registering a fresh company. You understand? If you are going to convert your business name to a company, so even if you paid fully for registering a business name, once you are converting your business name to a company, you must pay your full fees. Yes. So there's nothing as, oh yeah, they are going to be giving a concession. No. You understand? So it's as if you've just paid your money two times for registering a company and a business name. Yes, so that is that. And once you upgrade to a company, there's no going back to business name again. Please know that. You understand? But as a company, you can register a business name. You get the point. All right. Um, okay. So the next question says, how do you manage the filing of annual returns if you are not actively operating after registration? Okay. Now you must still file annual returns even if you are not operating. You understand? You must file annual returns. If you're not operating actively, you must disclose to the government, you must disclose to CAC that we are not filing actively, we are not operating actively. You understand? Same thing, even if your business is making loss, you must still disclose in the annual return that you are making loss. So it is full disclosure. That is what the annual returns is. You understand? So you must file your annual returns promptly. If not, you will face penalties. And if you don't file for a very long time, CAC will just assume that the owners of the company are dead, or the owner of the business or the business is dead, or the NGO is no longer functioning. So they'll just deregister it, and that is the end. Okay. So now, what are the reports, and what is the process of filing them? Okay, Mr. Daniel, these are very core parts of corporate law. So if I were to start breaking them right now, I'm not sure that we will leave here, but I can highlight the reports for you. I can highlight the reports. Now, a company, now, the reports that you file at the end of every year, you file annual returns. So the annual returns states how much profit your company made, how much loss your company made, and who are the shareholders of the company, and where the company is located currently, and who are the current directors of the company. So that is what your annual return for a company states. You understand? So that is it. And if you register a PLC, that is a public liability company, apart from filing annual returns, you must also file a statement of affairs. You must file a statement of affairs stating how much loss your company is making, how much, basically the financial affairs of your company. You must file a financial statement or statement of affairs of your company, apart from your annual apart from the annual returns, that is for a public liability company, that's for a PLC. But as for a limited company, you are only to just file, just state how much you made, how much loss you did, how much profit you made, how much loss you made, and who are the current shareholders of your company, who are the current directors, where your current address is. That is that. Now for business name, also you must also file annual returns for business name. Huh? You must also file annual returns for business name. You understand? So at the end of every year, you must state how much loss you made, how much profit you made, and who are the current owners of the business, and where your current address is. Now, for an NGO, you must also state same thing. As for an NGO, you must also state uh, how much donations you collected, how did you spend the donations, how much loss you made, uh-huh. And who are the current trustees, who are the current secretaries and escorts. You must state that in your annual returns for an incorporated trustees. And also, every 2 years for an incorporated trustees, you must also file, that is a statement of affairs, just stating how the affairs of the NGO or the non-profit is going. So that is that as regarding the reports to be filed. But as regards the process, it is very complex, and what's it called? It might take so much time. So I think we might have to skip that. Is there a time frame? Okay, the next question says, is there a time frame before a business can be deregistered if you don't file annual returns? Yes, a time frame, as I said, the time frame is just say between 5 to 10 years. However, note that if you